Welcome to another episode of the Creators Outlet, episode 147, brought to you by our friends over at the Inked Marketing team. Inked Marketing, www.inked.marketing. Check them out for yourself. And they want to remind you that you get more with Monty Michael Moore because Loco Hero 2 launches on July the 6th. And he's already got a backup tier if you missed Loco Hero 1. Go to inked.pub/Loco Hero 1 to get your copy of Loco Hero 1 today. And don't forget, mark your calendars for Loco Hero 2 launching on July the 6th. And that same night, Monty Moore will be right here on the Creators Outlet. But now, let's welcome our friend Sam Quinton back for more fun and goodness.
Hey man, how's it going?
Good. So you are back, and there aren't any small furry animals with samurai swords this time around. There's all kinds of other creatures with samurai and other swords.
Yeah, well, we have 47 Furious Tales coming in October, but right now, wow, pardon me. Right now, we're live with our fantasy RPG inspired pinup art book. Man, that's a terrible time to get a cough. Titled Dungeons and Dames. We're live on Kickstarter and showing off, beautiful women of your fantasy role playing games. So we actually have 10 different contributing artists on this. A lot of names people in the audience are going to recognize. Alexia Veldhausen, Isagul Save, who is I keep mispronouncing her name. She's doing the cover art for the first issue of Reign of Ages as well for me. And we've got Nick Capone, who's done a lot of RPG work for me, and he's the co-creator with me on Reign of Ages. The one and only Warren Brown, and if I'm not mistaken, I think this is going to be the first book in print that he's actually appearing in.
Yeah,
so that's pretty cool. I'm really looking forward to that. Zach Viola, who's done a lot of work for me in the past. Zach's actually produced over 110 illustrations for me since I founded Sonopa. 106 of them in one book. Just tremendous artist. Lotus Blair, who's a local artist here in Kentucky. Kelsey Cohen, another Kubert School graduate. Just a murderer's row, a who's who of indie artists, including the one and only Greg Harms.
And for those that don't know, why don't you give them a little background into all your RPG goodness that you've been doing over the years now?
Yeah, I started Sonopa Publishing in 2017, and our first few projects were open game license, 5th edition D&D adventure modules. So we started with Tale of the Wizard's Eye, which taught me that I didn't know anything about formatting, and I worked really hard to clean that up a lot. And then we went into the Tarot Adventures with the Draw of Glenfollow, where formatting got better. The adventures became much more brutal. Then Comet over Echo Rock, which was the second adventure in the Tarot series. The Steel Road, which was our first real source book, which is a book that details weapons across several different areas of the world. We actually focused a lot of that on Africa, and then on India, the South Pacific region. Korea has a few entries. China and Japan, of course, got some entries. But we actually focused a lot on weapons that don't get a lot of attention in most fantasy themes with that. And then Whispers of Persephone, which was my book on necromancy, banned in the United Arab Emirates, actually, which was a weird thing to see happen. Very strange. But it's also called the Bloody Little Book of Necromancy amongst the Kickstarter backers, which basically takes your run-of-the-mill necromancer stuff and dials it up to 11. Focuses a lot on curses, poisons, ritual sacrifice, and murder. The NPCs in there are either dead heroes or sadistic serial killing necromancers.
Well, those guys are always fun.
Right. And then the Sonopa Omnibus which is a collection of characters, short stories about them, and full stats and such. The digital versions of which are being offered as add-ons with Dungeons and Dames, and you can also get digital copy of 47 Furious Tales issue 1 and 2 as add-ons for that. So we kept it very, very simple, just 3 tiers: a digital, a print copy, and a retailer tier. And then just, if you want some extra entertainment, add it on, and we'll go ahead and just send that. We are fully funded, 110%, I believe, right now. 112%, something like that. Yeah, 112%. With 45 backers and still 2 weeks to go.
Yeah.
And our first stretch goal is at the $5,000 mark, where we're sending everyone who pledges at a tier that gets a physical copy. All those folks will also get a holofoil sticker of a demoness that was illustrated by Lotus Blair. She did that for a Shadowrun project that I was pitching a while back, and I still own the rights, of course, to that art. So we're putting it to brilliant use and studying holofoil goodness. Sorry, pardon me. And actually, you can see that in the stretch goals as we go down. But there's some really wonderful art about these pinups. They're sexy. There's a lot of different styles to them. The artists had free reign on how they wanted to exhibit their talents, and they came up with some wild and wonderful illustrations for this. Really very proud of this book.
And I learned over the weekend, because I did not want to random a guess, that all the lip prints here are from Alexia Vanhausen.
Yep, that's her lipstick kiss on the book.
Because Warren Brown couldn't figure out a shade that went with his shoes. But
well, I don't think it was his shoes. I think it was with the dress we wanted to pick out for him.
Okay.
But in all fairness, neither could anyone else. Alexia was the only one with the fashion sense to make it work.
Well, that's saying Warren doesn't wear shoes. He wears sandals all the time. So, But how do you know that? Oh, I don't know. I had to throw them away when I got out of bed one morning.
This first piece here, this is by Nick Capone. He's a Kubert School graduate and is a current instructor at the Kubert School for comic book art in New Jersey. Absolutely brilliant artist, and he really showed off a lot of his talents in this book. Each of the 10 artists contributed 4 illustrations. So we've got 40 just remarkable pinups in this book. And, of course, Nick really knocked it out of the park, taking kind of a traditional comic kind of styling out that you'd see in classic Image titles back in the day.
And the big thing is this book has free shipping within the lower 48.
Well, actually, within all the United States and all the territories.
All the 50 and the territories.
Yeah, exactly. If you live in the United States or in the U.S. territory, you get free shipping. We actually have a really great crowd of people who support us from Puerto Rico, and so for the last 2 years, we make sure that all the territories are covered whenever we do free U.S. shipping. Yeah.
And we'll take a look at some more art here.
Now, this one was done by Kelsey Cohen, who took a very fanciful approach to this with a lot of creature-themed feminine illustrations. So you have this, you have a mermaid. I'm not going to spoil the other 2 for you, but she has that vibrant anime kind of coloring to it. And this dwarf wearing only an apron while she works in the forge was courtesy of Alexia Veldhausen, who gave us a good rear view of the goings on in the forge late at night. Because when you hear something banging on anvil, that's what you want to see when you go investigate, right?
Only if it's a woman.
It is, I assure you.
And you know, this could be a subliminal message from Alexia saying buy this book or kiss my backside.
I think it's more of her showing off just how hard she's working. She didn't even have time to get dressed.
Yeah, she's thinking, if Sam asks me for one more page of the next book, I'm going to hit him with this hammer.
Yeah, that's pretty likely too.
It'll probably be a Nerf hammer because
No, it'll probably be a carpenter hammer. I'll probably get knocked out and scalped. Now, this piece was done by Paul Walcott, who's another Kubert grad, a dear friend of most of the Kubert students I commission as well. Brilliant artist. He has a lot of work for Viz and several other Japanese companies. He also did one of the variant covers for 47 Furious Tales issue 2, specifically the Samurai Under the Moon one. And I have to finish talking with him about getting him to do the variant cover for issue 3. So hopefully we'll be able to pull him in on that if his schedule allows.
The design on that sword is amazing.
Yeah, the lines on the woman are good too, I think. But that's
yeah, but when there's a weapon in hand, I tend to pay attention to the weapon more than the person, just in case.
That's probably why I've been stabbed by women more than you have.
Yeah.
It's a product of just being in the wrong place at the wrong time, I guess.
Yeah.
Here's our simple little reward tiers.
Digital Dames, which is the $10 PDF of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty in print is the physical copy for $25.
Right.
And the retailer will get 10 print copies for $125.
Right. Now, this next piece is Ayşe Gülsenov. She's another Kubert grad and a tattoo artist in Turkey. She was my first choice for the cover for our coming new series, Reign of Ages. We are not ready to reveal that yet, but when we do, I'll make sure that you're one of the first people who sees it, because it is absolutely stunning, just like this piece. Hey, Phil, what's up, man? Now, what's nice about this piece
is Gallery Wills.
If you scroll down just a little bit, you get the full appreciation of what we're looking for here. We're looking for that sexy kind of image with just enough covered up that it kind of fits those. Doris has never stabbed a man yet.
It could happen. You never know.
But we kind of went for that a little bit of that demure aspect you see in some of the 1950s style pinups that were on the stands, place to place. So we have like no exposed genitalia, no intercourse. So it's not pornographic, but very artistic. And I think Ayşe had really captured all of that kind of vibe with this piece particularly. It's just absolutely beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
And then we go into the monstrous with Rebecca Elizabeth Colthart. Now, Rebecca has done a lot of work for me in RPG work over the years. And she came to this one and just really, really did her own thing with these monstrous women done in these kind of deep, rich colors in these comic stylings. I joke a little bit about this, because the mermaid here is carrying a little head with her. So that's
poor Gurek, she knew him well.
Right. Me being a little childish, but I love this piece. I think it's really cool. It's kind of got that a little bit of the horror vibe to it with just that little hint of sexiness going on that I think makes a really good pen-up art.
Yeah, it's a little bit comic booky, a little bit like animated.
Mm-hmm.
So it's different and eye catching. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and her other three pieces are just as provocative as this one is. She really, really did some cool things with it.
I know this is Lunchbox because we sneak peeked this a little while back.
Yep, Warren Brown out of Washington. We get a lot of people asking us what the white stuff is on the end of the stick, and we keep telling people it's milk because that's what it is. Get your head out of the gutter. But his film Cat Monk has really caught a lot of attention on our social media channels, with people being really excited about it. Warren, of course, being colorblind, He had asked if we wanted someone to color this, but honestly, I didn't want him to color anything because
No.
his grayscale, just the way he does things, is really very impressive to me. I love the way it looks. So whereas everyone else is in color, Warren is proudly in grayscale, just absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, his you know the his grayscale is leaps and bounds over most people's.
Yeah.
And I think that that might just be because he sees everything in various shades, of that. So
Mhm.
it's you know, it's kind of like, his daredevil power.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good way of putting it. It really is. He's done so much with the pieces he's done. Here's our little demonic, clad only in fire demon woman that we're going to unlock that holograph sticker on at 5,000. It should also be noted that this campaign actually benefits all of the contributors and myself equally, right? So we are creating the book as a collaborative effort. Any excess funds, any excess copies after the print run are being equally divided between the artists and myself. And then with the subsequent digital sales and print on demand sales and everything, all of the artists have royalties attached for those on the platforms we're going to be using. So this book is going to continue to benefit all the contributing artists going forward.
And that's a great way to do it too.
Well, the whole purpose of this was to bring more work to these artists because when COVID was going on, a lot of artists were finding that it was not as easy to get your work. And since most of the guys I work with are doing RPGs and comic work, and that slowed down quite a bit. I mean, look at all the layoffs that happened with DC, for example, during 2020. That was kind of scary for everyone. So being able to get some project together that would benefit everyone, I think, was a good idea, and I still a very big believer in it. I'm really happy that we funded and looking forward to how far we can go in the next 2 weeks.
Oh yeah. And man, I'm really wishing you can hit the 25K goal because this would be great in a hardcover.
Right, and that's the thing we're doing. We're going first. I know a lot of people ask, why didn't you just do more art right off the bat? Because the way the print calculation works, if we can get to 25K at our current count, then what we see is that we can get that hardcover with sewn pages, so it's the highest quality printing that we can lay hands on, short of having each of them handmade. And then if we were to go beyond that, then certainly we could add more art to it. But getting the book at the highest quality was the first priority. And this little piece here was done by Zach Viola, who's again's done such tremendous work for me. I can't wait for everyone to see his other pieces too, because he's done so much really cool stuff for this book. You're going to be really amazed. Some of the images he's come up with. We wanted to show this one off though, because we had this really natural pose. Man, I'm so sorry, Will.
It's okay.
This really natural pose here for this dwarf warrior woman with these, red ringlets and everything. It just screamed out, just pretty, sexy, and tough. All the things we want in our Dungeons and Dames.
And this, his art on this is so classic looking as far as D&D goes, like the earlier comics.
Yep.
And even the patch of land where she's got her shield, her handmaiden shield stuck into and everything is something classic that you would see flipping through one of a million different
It kind of reminds me of the
D&D
Dragonlance
books.
comic. The original Dragonlance comic is what it kind of reminded me of, but much hotter. We didn't have images like that in that comic, but definitely as a pinup. I mean, there's a lot of strength in this image. I mean, there really is.
Yeah, I like it. Of course, I have this thing for redheads, but that being said.
Greg Harm's materials aren't on display on the page as of yet, and since we're halfway through the campaign, we're just going to save it for a little surprise. I will tell you he's done some really, really interesting pieces. The first piece they colored was his angel, and I'm thinking everyone's going to really, really dig that when they see it. It's got a kind of a heavy metal vibe to it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And here's our art team. Lois Blair, who's a local here in Kentucky. Nick Capone, our Kubert School instructor and frequent contributor for a lot of different titles, actually. Kelsey Cohen. Kelsey's actually done a lot of pieces, too. In fact, one of her pieces is our top-selling poster at the moment, which is Cersei with her a pig and a lion standing there. An absolutely beautiful piece. Not only is it one of our best sellers, it's also hanging up in the local school districts here in Frankfurt for just some decoration for the schools. So they're in, I think, 4 different schools here right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Alexia Veldhausen. I realize no one here has ever heard of her.
Yeah. Who could pronounce a Veldhausen name?
Right. It's almost like we got it right because we've said it so many times. What can be said that hasn't been said about Alexia before? She's remarkably skilled, insightful, and I swear she's not holding a gun to my head off camera. I swear I'm not trying to kill you, Will. I promise.
And, for all those Amazon users out there, this is who you're talking to every time you ask Alexia for something.
Oh, don't do that. She's going to get mad about that one. But yeah, and
I'll
Paul
tell you
Walcott,
told me to say it.
I'll defend myself to my dying breath, which will be pretty quickly. Paul Walcott. I hope to actually work much more with Paul. His talents are remarkable. His skills are exceptional. His attention to detail is incredible. Honestly, I enjoy working with all these people. Paul is someone who I really honestly look forward to working with far more in the future. Much like, Anthony Ojeda, Kelsey, and the other people on this project, really. Isagul Sanav. She's a Kubert grad as well. You might see a recurring theme here. She has been working in movies as well as is, I think, almost done with her apprenticeship for her tattoo artist license in Turkey.
Oh, cool.
And really looking forward to showing off the cover for Reign of Ages issue 1. It's just, I've seen the inks and they are fantastic. It's just the only way to put it.
It's almost like you got one Kubert school grad and then you just farmed outside of the school for the rest of them.
It's kind of funny that you say that because that's really how it happened. Brian Lee, who is not on this project, he's busy working on Necroholic. Or if he's watching this, he better be working on Necroholic. But Brian Lee, who I've known since he was a very, very young boy, went to the Kubert School. He used to come to my comic shop when I still owned it back in 99, 2000, etc. And ended up going to the Kubert School and becoming just a top-notch artist. And when I started Sinopa, he clued me into the fact that you couldn't have one person doing like 40 books at the same time. It just didn't work. Because if you're like me and you're not an artist, it might take you a little while to realize just how much time illustrations like this take. I mean, some of these pieces here, took 20 hours to create. you know. So you've got to appreciate that, not just for the compensation aspect, but also for the scheduling, right? So it became important to get other people involved, and so he reached out to Rebecca, who is his significant other. I think I can get away with saying that. For like the last 10 years, I think, and she is herself was a Kubrick School student. Um, and then as we worked on the projects, I was introduced to other recent graduates: Nick Capone, Christian Martinez, Alexia. The list goes on. Kelsey. The list goes on and on and on. And now I'm gonna feel bad because I didn't name them all, Tony Ojeda. But and that's kind of how it goes. And now we're picking up more Kubrick grads. I'm looking forward to getting some work from Adelia Gunderson now, who just graduated a couple of months ago, which was really good to see that we've been able to put so many people to work, you know. And that's actually been made possible by the fact that we've had really good turnouts for our crowdfunding campaigns. Dungeons and Dames is moving a little slow, but it is a different kind of book. It's not a comic. It's not a role-playing game book. It's an art book. But I think it fills a nice niche where you have people who maybe they need something in their D&D campaign, a seductive dark elf, or a beautiful dwarven warrior maiden. You get the idea. I think it has its place definitely in the role-playing hobby, and then of course just as a standalone art book as well.
Yeah, that, and it also falls to the to some of the comic fans too. Yeah. That not all gamers read comics, but all comic fans game at some point or another. Whether it's an RPG, a video game, a board game, and there's a lot of imagination that goes into both. So, and they've brought back, we were talking Dragonlance with the other illustration, and they didn't bring back Dragonlance, but they've just brought back the D&D comics again. And also they just brought I think it was Boom that just brought back the MTG comics line. So
I don't remember who did the Magic the Gathering comic. I should, but I don't.
Oh no, this is a new one. Image did, I think, the last one. Co-produced it with Hasbro, and I remember that because
is Boom doing the new one?
I think Boom is doing the new one.
Huh. And then we have Rebecca, who really her little bio here tells a lot. She does a lot with horror. An absolutely incredible job with horror. She has a couple of webtoons that I invite everyone to check out. She's really feverishly into her new series that she started. Her previous series, Cheap Jack Dillman, is really, really fun. And she's prolific. She keeps producing really high quality content with amazing alacrity. And she's just a joy to work with.
The first time I saw her photo, I was like, oh, it's Wednesday Addams all grown up.
Well.
Oh, you've passed the cough to me.
I did. I'm sorry. It's a computer virus, I guess.
It must be. Hey,
Lunchbox Warren Brown. So what can we say about Warren that hasn't been said already? Sig and Joe is great. I mean, I love that. I can't wait for him to get back to it. Absolutely fantastic. And then to get to work with him on this project has been really, really, really fun for me. One thing about Warren was that when I first met him, one of the first things that stands out to me is that out of nowhere, he sent some 47 Furious Tales fan art to me and Alexia, and it was really, really gorgeous. I really liked it. And that's when I knew, I'm like, you know what? I think I might want to work with this guy because this looks really good. Um, and just the more you talk to him, the more you see his commitment to his art and how he pushes himself every single day.
Yeah.
And literally he does. He pushes himself every day. You can see it on his Twitch channel. You can see it when he's, doing little interviews is probably a bad word, but when he's talking to people on different shows, because everyone loves having Warren on, you kind of can tell that his focus is just dead on for honing his art and his craft, and he's doing such a fantastic job of it.
Yeah, he's such a nice guy to talk to and hang out with. And I remember when he first launched Sig and Joe, we did it on one of my streams, and the colorist extraordinaire Phil Leon and and Pops and I, along with Warren, basically did like a live book read of it as we went down and did our funny voices and stuff. And
I remember that night. That was a lot of fun.
yeah, we had a blast doing that. And I had to say that because Phil's getting up in my DMs. Sure, don't mention me.
The one and only Zach Viola, recent immigrant to the Republic of Texas. He moved down there a couple of months ago, and frequent contributor with Snowpa Publishing Books, more frequent contributor doing illustrations for the Department of Defense. He does a lot of video game art design. The man is really incredibly multi-talented. He has 2 full books that he's illustrated for me. The Steel Road and Santa Dragon Claws Presents 25 Holiday Themed Magic Items, which was a Christmas D&D book we did in 2018. We actually brought that to Kickstarter on his Kickstarter account to kind of get his feet wet in crowdfunding. And when we didn't fund, we fulfilled the book anyway.
Oh, cool.
We didn't ship physical copies because we would have still been paying for that today. But we digitally fulfilled and sent pre-on demand codes to all the backers in that campaign that year. And so it was really cool to see that book go out. We had nothing but good things were said about his art. And it was a really fun project to do when you've got, things like enchanted teddy bears and stuff like that in your D&D world. It was a really great project. Also available on Drive-Thru RPG under Snowpa Publishing.
And I like that you've got all these little bios on the main page, and they've all got the click to read more, so you can find out more about the creators of the art in this book.
Yeah, I don't think we've got the links working right now. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but we had, as you've probably noticed from my previous campaigns, this page looks a lot sharper, more finished, more polished than previous campaigns. Alexia did a lot of initial design on it and then reached out to a friend of hers who's a graphic designer in Europe. The 2 of them put their heads together, and then they banged this together in a day to take the rough look I put, and they dressed it up so it actually looks like something was done by someone who isn't a thumbless primate like me.
Yeah. I was just checking, and it seems that when we wrap up here, people will be able to jump over to Warren Brown's Twitch stream because he's going to be going live doing art, and he does that like 2 or 3 times a week at least.
Oh yeah, I think it's at least twice a week, definitely.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen him on that stream before, you really should. He does such a remarkable job. And for those of you who are watching, please do come out, check out Dungeons and Dames. We could use your support. If you haven't read 47 Furies Tales or the Snowpa Omnibus, if you're a D&D fan or a comic book fan, you can easily pick those up when you pledge. Available on digital, and we will be fulfilling next month straight away because the book, we're just waiting on a couple of pieces to finish coloring. and we will be ready to go to print.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of art, shameless plug, tomorrow night around 11 p.m. Eastern, I'll be live with Sean Howe for the Seanzilla Art Show like we do every Wednesday night.
Yeah, Sean's cool as hell. I don't know if anyone's told him that. If you have, if you haven't, just keep it low key. So, I think I'd just be casually cool on his own. He's got a really great presence.
And then I will be.
Oh, sweet.
That's a piece that Sean did and sent me because
That's really tight.
Joker fan. So that's really cool.
That's really, really tight.
Phil's getting up here in the chat. Oh, Phil's going live with Warren and doing some drawing.
Are we going to see Phil's face again? Is he going to be dark in the dungeon and doing the illustrations?
Yeah, he colors in the dark. There you go.
How do you color in the dark, Phil?
I don't know. I'm just making stuff up as I go along.
Mm. And Phil, remind Warren to keep plugging away at Dungeons and Dames. He's done a really good job of that so far. He's been a really, really big factor in helping us get this out to everybody.
Because I use a monitor.
Doris, Phil, come on out to Dungeons and Dames too. Don't be shy, guys. We could use your eyes on it, share it out to everyone. Help spread the word a little bit. We've got almost 90 people that have saved this campaign who haven't pledged yet. So I'm thinking that that last day we'll probably pick up another 45, 50 pledges pretty easily. But the closer we can get to those stretch goals, the happier we'll all be. So we can make this the best value for everybody.
Oh yeah, and don't forget you can get the digital PDF for $10 or more.
Yep, just $10.
Physical is $25.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, retailers can grab the retailer tier, which is 10 copies for $125 or more.
Yep. And again, that's only available in the United States. So right now we can't really get away with shipping retailer bundles anywhere outside of the U.S. and the territories. Shipping it to Canada, the VAT tax is terrible on it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not called VAT, but the tax on that import is really, really something.
Yeah, it's just crazy, and they're just going nuts with the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's a shame. It's like, why are you well, we need to raise taxes. Well, big government sucks. You don't need that many people to do this job.
Yep. Give us roads without holes in them, and we'll talk about raising taxes.
Yeah, if especially like out here in New England, because of like all the seasonal changes and stuff. It's like they'll patch up the roads just enough to get us to the winter. And then the first time it snows, all the plow trucks rip up all the patches.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I was hoping to be able to show off Tarot Adventures Book 3, Death Comes to Glenfollow, but Pat still has it going over for final edits. Mm-hmm. Apparently, I've made a mess of it more than I thought because she's had it for a couple of weeks now going over it. So I'm guessing I've got a lot of editorial changes to do before we send it to the printer. Which is too bad. I was hoping to have that ordered this week. So, I mean,
if you can't get this book yet, and you're a lover of all things D&D and art in general, make sure you're sharing it out to all of your social medias and letting your friends know. If you have a local game store.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a page, see if they'll share it out there. More importantly, see if they'll order it.
Yep. And same thing for any of the comics or role-playing game books that we put out. If you want to support indie creators, small creators like me, who has what was once a bedroom in my 2-bedroom apartment is now my Sonoma office. And this is where all the magic happens. Where we are currently packed almost to capacity. I had to move my camera because the space behind me is such a mess right now with boxes stacked up in it that I didn't want anyone to see it.
Yeah, Sam just sleeps on extra like Gemini mailers.
I sleep in my living room on a futon and have for a couple of years now because I just got comics and role playing game stuff to make. Comfort be damned, I've got work to do.
You just want to live that Kubert school life, right?
No, I can't draw with a damn. I kind of wanted to.
I just meant sleeping on a futon.
Oh yeah, well maybe.
That sounds about college life. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to figure out something. I mean, if I ever decide to start dating again, I'll probably have to stop that and get a bigger place, I guess. But right now it works. But I'll tell you, sometimes carrying a whole pallet of comics, one box at a time, up 2 flights of stairs, gets a little tiring.
Oh man, that just brings back like bad memories. I was a store manager for this place long before my coma, and they owned the building, but downstairs was like a personal garage for the owner.
Mm-hmm.
And storage for like his other businesses, because his main office was on the opposite end of the parking lot. And man, every week there'd be like a huge order, and the driver would like call up after he dumped it all on the first floor, and then I had to bring it up like 60 stairs to piece by piece, load it up in there, and
I tell you, man, I feel your pain
on
that. I do. I feel your pain on that. It's the last shipment for 47 Furious Tales when we had issue 2 shipped in was just shy of 800 pounds of books. So not too bad really as far as the shipment size, but when you break it down into 60-pound boxes and you're packing them up 2 flights of stairs. And you're trying not to trip over your 6-year-old as she's like, Daddy, can I see? Let me get them loaded up here first, honey. Let me get them loaded up here first. It'll wear you out pretty fast.
Hey,
but
on the bright side, you're only about 7 years away from being able to help carry this.
Yeah. I figure by the time she's 14, she'll start helping lift some stuff. I'll feel bad about it at first, but right now she wants to help, and so I'll hand her a poster and let her carry a poster up or something like that. But as she's getting big enough now, she's like, Dad, it's just this little thing. I'm like, okay, here's a box of cards. That's heavy, Dad. I know. Come on.
You can do it.
Like box like that big, 15 pounds, and she's like, oh no. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, my 13-year-old's the same way. Work? Oh my God.
Oh no. Thank you, Dory.
So it's still like, it's still a lot of fun to have like some things one or two things in common when they hit the teenage years. And I'm like, oh, what am I gonna do now?
I am not gonna stress about it too much. I'm just going to do the best I can, and I'm trying to be the best example I can. Just work hard. And one of the big things that she and I talk about a lot, because she's really interested in the art that the folks put out for the books that we do, is how you treat the people who work with you and work for you. And so we talk a lot about why it's important to pay people fair wages, why it's important to pay people on time, why it's important to pay people, period, so that they can pay their own bills and live their life in a more comfortable way. And basically the responsibility of it. And that's a heavy thing to be talking to sometimes with a little kid, but she asks really insightful questions about it. And so rather than them tiptoe around it. We tend to discuss things head on. Not very complicated in really in terms that she can understand, but we address the importance of things like that really head on. So one day when she and her brother own the company, hopefully they'll keep up the tradition of taking good care of the people who are working for us.
Cool.
Here's hoping.
Knock on my plastic desk. So this is just over the funding goals. So of course, we want to see this go a lot further and get it into a lot more people's hands, because these artists deserve to be seen more often than they are.
Yeah, and I really want to get at least to that first stretch goal. The stickers look really cool. I think I sent you one, didn't I? One of the test ones. Did you get one of the Demon Spirit test ones, or did I send that to?
I'll have to look, because I read.
I might have sent that to Tyler.
I read the books, but anything that came in them, like bookmark or whatever, I put back in the bag.
Gotcha. We haven't done bookmarks yet. Bookmarks, everyone does them.
Yeah, but they're. I used to complain about them, and now I'm like, I'll look around. I go, oh man, I need another bookmark. I started reading another book. Damn it.
There you go.
I'm like,
The only bookmark I own only two bookmarks I own in this house are from Kickstarter campaigns. Let's go figure, right? But we haven't made any yet. I don't know if we will until maybe when the light novel comes out. Maybe we'll do it then.
Yeah, I just got another one with the One Last Job.
Yeah.
The black and white hitman story, which was cool. Did a bookmark, and they did a sticker, but the sticker was in the shape of a target from a gun range.
Oh, the reticle or the iron sights?
Like the upper body mannequin image.
Oh, I got you.
Like the head
the silhouette. The silhouette.
Yeah, the silhouette with that, and it's got like the target rings on it.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, I go, oh, that's cool.
I was trying to see if I had any of those example stickers left I could show you to see if you knew which one I was talking about, but I think I sent the last ones out already. So we had some, how it is. We have some creators who like, hey, how did your stickers turn out? Well, let me stick a stamp on this envelope and I'll send it to you. So we get some pretty good stickers done by Sticker Mule. There's a couple other people who've reached out suggesting some other folks as well. So we'll take a look and see who gives us the best deal that we can pass on to our backers and our customers.
Yeah.
Because in the end, that's what's really about.
See who's got the best deal and the best quality, and that can ship on time, because that is that third part is just as important as the first two. Yeah,
I mean, with Dungeons and Dames, we're using Mixam for the printing on that. So we're printing here in the United States. We're using the same high grade papers that we're using on our comics. So it's got that really heavy booklet stock. So I think people are going to be really, really happy with this.
Well, every all the books that you put out in print are all like super high quality. So
yeah, we're kind of moving away from print on demand stuff as much. There's been a lot of changes to some of the shops where we get like print on demand stuff done as far as with relation to websites that do direct sales of them. So that means I'm gonna have to start having big press runs done and distribute directly out, which means I'm going to have to figure out storage space in this office for more copies. It's going to be crazy busy.
But on the plus side, with shows coming back, you have plenty of stock to bring with you to sell at the shows.
Yeah, definitely. Which was, one of the things that was always the intention. The other thing too was being able to have stock to make available for subsequent Kickstarter campaigns, because we'll have people who will come to, say, for example, 47 Furious Tales issue 3 in October, who may have never heard of the book before. And if they want issues 1 and issue 2, we have those in stock and we'll have those available. And I think as more people get that book in hand, I'm hoping that we'll see more shops who are willing to take it and carry it. We've had a lot of positive response from all the shops who've carried the book so far. And you've talked with Danny down at the Collective many times. You know how it's done down there, which is really, really well. From what I'm told from how it's done in the Hive, it's been doing pretty well. Absolutely crushed and did great at Gotham Underground. And now at Eastside Mags, it's really kicking ass. I like the fact that they have posted photos about once a week, right, of the shelf space that they gave over to 47. And we shipped 60 books to them. And by shipped, I mean we picked them up and carried them over to their booth, because we closed the deal on that while we were at the Garden State Comic Festival. And so we got 60 books to them that day, plus all of the prints that we came to a deal on. And it's nice to see those pictures and see that from like the first picture that basically half the books were already sold that first week. So it's really neat to see that stack of comics get smaller. It still looks really big on the shelf, because if you stack 10 books on top of each other, they're going to look really like there's a lot. Mm-hmm. But when you realize, oh wow, we started out with 3 times that many, then you're like, wow, yeah, that book's been moving.
Yeah, it's always good to hear that your book is doing like great, off of store shelves on top of the Kickstarter and in demand sales.
Yeah,
that's
so for everyone who doesn't want to buy the books through direct transactions on PayPal or whatever, if you don't like paying shipping, talk to your local comic shop, have them reach out to me. We'll put the book on their shelf at a price point that has them making good money per book, at a price that won't break your wallet, because the book on the shelf is usually $5. So
yeah, definitely have your shops reach out to Sam and get it in there, because guaranteed if you like it, and there's probably going to be like at least 10 or 20 more people that go in on a regular basis every month that are going to be like, ooh, something new.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the it's not the same old Batman and Superman and Spider-Man and Avengers stories told over and over.
Right. And we've sold hundreds of copies of issue 1 and issue 2 already. I mean, issue 1's first cover, which is right here behind me in 2-foot by 3-foot poster size, we had a press run of 500 of those, and we sold out, except for the copies I had set aside for family members. And we sold out in just a few months. For a brand new title no one ever heard of, I thought that was pretty good. And when I ordered the issue 1 second cover that we had Alexia do, I ordered 3,000 copies of that, and I'd have to check my numbers, but I think we've moved 600, 700 copies of that so far.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of books to move. And of that, 90 or so were at this last con. This last con, we did like 185 copies and 47 sold in all between issue 1 and issue 2. Yeah. And then you've got shops that order it, sell out, and then order more. So the box down in Louisiana, Keith Hewins' store, we shipped to him. He opened his shop. He sold out. He contacted us. We sent him another invoice. He paid it almost instantly. We shipped it the next day. And the same thing with the collective. Every shop really, once they sell out, if they have other people who are wanting it, we'll go ahead and get it to them. It's pretty straightforward. I'm looking forward to when we have more titles in print, so that if someone says, well, we want 20 or 30 copies in all, and we want 20 copies of 47 Furious Tales, and we want 10 copies of Necroholic and 20 copies of Reign of Ages. Can you get this to us? And we just pack it up and ship it, and there you go. Let us know when you need more, and just get two shops at a price point where they're making good money. We're making a little bit of money, and more people are getting introduced to the stuff we're doing. It's pretty simplistic kind of business model. No returns or other fancy promotions or nonsense like that. We don't advertise. I don't pay for advertising anywhere, which may or may not be a good idea.
Well, from what I hear about all the interweb advertising, for the most part, it's like you usually do better just managing your own social media than you
Right.
do by paying them. Oh, you can reach 10 times more people. No, I couldn't. You're still gonna put me down to the bottom of the list.
Facebook's still gonna hide my campaign links. Yeah. So that's a fun one. But you and I have been talking for a while, for a little over a year and a half now. Mm-hmm. So you've seen a lot of campaigns online. One thing that I'll ask you, this is me asking you this. When you see a campaign of mine launch, is there anything about them that stands out to you? Anything that you see and you're like, well, that's how Sam does things. Anything about that stands out for you?
Well, you do a lot of pre-launch preparation, mm-hmm. And trying to get. I think some of the most successful campaigns are ones that can get a lot of people basically signed up on their pre-launch page.
Right.
Because then instead of, them basically chasing your project down to get it, it's coming to their inbox. They do like one click on like the Remind Me on the Kickstarter right down here, mm-hmm. which obviously I've done. And it goes right to their inbox, and all the updates go that, they'll get an email for the updates. They're on the mailing list for all that. And then, when it gets close to the end of the campaign, which is why you see so many people jump on a lot of campaigns at the very end, is because, oh yeah, I forgot all about that. Because, people get busy with life, personal life, work life, and binge watching shows and forget about stuff, and you get reminded. And I mean, I did the same thing this weekend. There were books that I really wanted, and I was balancing. One was Russ Leach's book, Only Death Can Save Us.
Right.
And it's going to be reprinted in floppies through Arrow 4.0.
Oh, cool.
Props to Randy Zim and the whole indie crew over there, mm-hmm. Doing a great job. And I got another update from today. they've approved the proofs. So we're one step close. I'm one step closer to getting that big book. And but I'm like, man, do I? And I talked to my main LCS and the secondary LCS that I deal with, and neither of them were too keen on dealing with Liberty, and it wasn't on a personal thing. It was, they get did from, one place for Marvel, one place for DC,
Right.
and the majority of the rest from Diamond. So they went from, one big shipping fee to three big shipping fees. And the last thing a small, a small business needs, as is, another shipping fee added on.
Right.
And I'm like, and the only way you can get Arrow 4.0 is through Liberty. So,
well, I'll tell you what, reach out to those LCS guys, and no kidding, no joke, give them the same price point we do everyone else in the United States. We'll send them $20 for $50, and that includes shipping. So
okay, I'll definitely talk to them.
That's an easy 50% margin for the books, and 47 Furious Tales sells, man. It just sells. When people say, "Hey, what is this about?" They pick it up, and some people say it's just the way the book feels in their hands. Other people say, "Ooh, we've got all this vicious, sword fighting action. These crazy samurai squirrels just cutting these monkeys up, and all this kind of stuff."
And the biggest selling point is like, did you like the last? Yeah, I meant comparison wise to books that they would know mainstream would be, Last Ronin and the Turtles, with the Usagi Yojimbo, all that's, all the Stan Sakai stuff and numerous other books, of course, but and then they can't compare it to, it's in a slightly smaller size, it's compact, and it's on, amazing quality. And it does have like 100%. It feels different than any other book on the market.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a premium product. It really is. It's a premium product for a non-premium price.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm used to, I was just like looking through like my Kickstarter and Indiegogo accounts, and I'm like, I spent how much? Oh, good Lord! Where did I find this money? Oh, that's right. I'm selling my old Key comics that I don't give a rat's ass about to buy stuff that I'm like, ooh, shiny, and and stuff that I'm like, well, I want to check that out, and I got in just under the wire because Russ closed out his campaign, and I got his over the weekend during CromCon, and he closed it out Sunday night, Monday morning, and he mailed my book out Monday.
Yep.
Another one was the black and white horror anthology, Kryptonos from 656 Comics Group.
Right.
I saw that.
Don't Blink from Brian Hawkins, because that was a phenomenal book. But anything Brian.
Doris says she really needs some paintings to sell in the shop. Comics and art.
So Doris, let me throw something out at you. Something that I'll tell you has worked really well for me and a lot of the artists that I work with. Once you paint something, once you've got something done that you feel like you want to sell, I would go ahead and produce some prints of it. And I don't mean like 10 or 20. I mean like 200, 300, something like that. Because your cost per print comes way down when you get that economy of scale. And I'm a huge fan of Mixam. They've done fantastic work for me since I've started using them. And what I find is that when there are more people who are buying prints and posters and stuff like that, it seems like it's easier for the artists I work with to sell their originals. I mean, I can tell you that Alexia did a show at the coffee shop that she used to work at. After it was between issue 1 and issue 2, and I think, if I'm not very much mistaken, I think she sold 8 original pages in one day, which by any metric is just incredibly huge.
Yeah.
And moving originals like that, but still having smaller price prints to be able to sell, that's a huge deal, especially if you've got, your print costs down to where they're very manageable. So for example, I can get, large batches at 11 by 17 run for a fraction of what I charge for them when I bring them to cons or put them in campaigns and such. With campaigns, a lot of that price gets soaked up in the added shipping cost, so there's a little bit of that. But at comic conventions, and when I move them to retailers, it's a huge deal because like the retailer markup, right? And you can scan canvas, and then after you scan it, if you need to touch up anything for the print file, you can do that digitally. Pardon me. And then just hold the original canvas as your premium piece. So like, case in point, if I'm buying an original page from, say, Alexia Veldhausen, right? Like an interior comic page, probably $200, easily.
Yeah.
If I'm buying an original Sandra Cole, and I don't own an original Sandra Cole, I'll tell you that. But if I were going to buy an original Sandra Cole, I would price that probably in line with original cover art. Because that depends on, irregardless of what media she's working in, but that's kind of a reflection on Sandra's incredible ability, really. Yeah, well, here's the thing. If you can't afford to prepay it, here's an idea. Crowdfund it. Crowdfund it as like an art collection. If you've got, say, 30 or 40 paintings that you've done, put together an art book, slap a low-cost digital tier on it, and set up a print file for it. That's really easy to do, and get it printed through. I would always recommend printed domestically in the country that you live in. So if you live in the United States, I highly recommend you print in the United States. Some people will tell you to go to print in China or in Mexico because it's cheaper. I strongly disagree with that because the math doesn't make sense to me to do that, because if I print in China, for example, I gotta wait 2 months for them to clear customs, and that's after they've spent a month on a boat, and that's after they've spent a month in production and pre-press. So I'm all of a sudden, a big section of my year is tied up. Whereas Dungeons and Dames, when I have a final number and I know how many print copies we're going to order on this first press run, I'll order it probably on, let's see here, probably July 18th, and I'll have it before the end of July. Because most of my shipments through Mixam get to me within 10 days.
Nice.
Yeah, and I'm not talking like, oh, I had 100 posters printed. I'm talking I have a 3,000 copy press run for 47 Furious Tales issue 1, and I had that in under 10 days. I would have had it even faster, but there was a file problem on a couple of pages, and it took us 2 days to figure out and rectify that, and so that's factored into that. Otherwise, we would have had it in a week.
Yeah, because case in point, tomorrow night, like every Wednesday night when Sean and I do the art show, he's working on a piece, and every once in a while it'll be a commission piece, but the majority of the time it's something new.
Mm-hmm.
And, we announced at the beginning of the show that, he's working on this. He just started working on this piece, and he'll talk a little bit about it and let everybody know that it is available for claim. And, they can DM him, and his IG is, right in the thing. And before he sells, when he finishes the original, the first thing he does is go to his high-res scanner and scan it in, post pictures of it if it didn't sell during the show. Mm-hmm. And it's usually gone, within a few days.
Right.
And but then he saves that scan file, and when he orders through Mixam as well. So when he'll send in an order with, all his scan files so he can sell prints.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you would be surprised at what you can do with an order in quantity, right? Even if it's like a mini print, or more to the point, like the bigger prints that we do, like the 11 by 17, right? Now, to give you an idea of the quality of the paper this is on, that's 130 pound cardstock, right?
Yeah, that's pretty thick.
Yeah. So this is built to last, for decades, really. As long as you're not abusing it, don't put it in direct sunlight for 9 years and expect it to still hold all the color. But getting 300 or so of those printed, I can get that done for under $100. And, Will, you and I both know that at a con, those are going to go for $15 to $25, depending on the artist's reputation.
Yeah, usually around $25 is the average price. Yeah.
And I can move them at 10 to 15 here locally, or 20 on the East Coast or on the West Coast. If you have higher income demographics, price accordingly. Don't undervalue yourself, but also know what your market is. Like in Kentucky, $10 to $15 is probably a more realistic price, just because our wages here are so depressed. It's really kind of frightening.
Yeah. But if you went to like, C2E2 or New York, mm-hmm. you'd be doing like, 25 or 30.
Right.
For a print. And, if you were doing them like, $30 each, or, mm-hmm. 3 for $75.
Right. But in Kentucky, I mean, honest truth, I know attorneys in Kentucky who make under $40,000 a year as lawyers.
Wow.
And that's no lie. That's the gospel truth. So it's when I say wages are depressed here, wages are depressed.
Mm-hmm.
So now that's not to say all lawyers are like that. I mean, some are making the huge Mercedes level bucks. You know what I'm saying? But not all of them.
I'd rather drive a Dodge anyhow.
Well, I also know another attorney. He actually works at the law office during the day, and he's a bouncer at a bar at night. So his job at the law firm is basically paying his student loans, and he's living in his apartment off of what he makes as a bouncer.
Mm.
So
yeah, 30 years working in the bar business. I can appreciate that.
Yep.
But this is available, and the link is in the chat. Uh, Always good advice from you to people. Sam's always a top recommendation if you're looking to get something done and this line of work to reach out and talk to him. He's always happy to talk to people.
And a few pieces of advice for anyone who's going to do any crowdfunding. Always check your math. Always know exactly how much your shipping costs are going to be. And always be careful when someone says they've got a good deal for you on some way they can help your campaign miraculously succeed. Because everyone's going to want a piece of you. So just look out for yourself and be cautious. And support your indie artists, indie creators. And you're gonna find that folks who have been creating a while, people grow to trust and expect big things from you. So just keep doing your best. And for artists who are out there, I mean, I've seen a lot of social media posts this week about artists in the United States and outside the United States wondering if they can actually make a living as artists. And the question, I think, hits really close to home. I'm sorry, Will. I don't mean to be coughing in your ear, man. That's really bugging me. But it strikes really close to home. And then you say, well, if you're going to make money on your art, then you really need to be working for yourself, because the more people who are taking money out of your art, the less money you're making. Yeah, exactly, Doris. Exactly. So, I mean, it's good for me. I mean, but then again, I pay my people. That's kind of it. They get a contract for me. We pay it, which reminds me, I have to finish drafting a contract tonight. I might have to do it tomorrow morning. It's getting late. But we get them paid, we get it done, and everything goes out. I'll tell you, there's one artist who I really love working with, and she isn't available right now, to me or to anyone, from what I understand. But I was talking to her, and I'd commissioned and bought the rights to a piece I had her do years ago, and so I had 500 prints of it run in time for Garden State. Okay. And so I reached out to her and I said, I know you're not available right now, but I'm having some prints run. If you want, I can go ahead and send you some. She's like, well, I don't really want to buy any prints. No, you understand. I said, in your contract, it says I can send you a bonus at my discretion. This is a bonus at my discretion. Do you want me to go ahead and mail them to you, or do you not want them? And so, yeah. And so I sent her 100 of the press run, and those sold pretty well at the $4 to $5 range while we were at the con. So I'm hoping that she's been able to capitalize on that as well. And little things like that, making sure that there's equitable distribution of the proceeds from stuff, I think is important. And I think that some people will think I'm crazy. I've been called a terrible capitalist. My father tells me I'm a terrible capitalist. But one thing I am really grateful for is the fact that the people I work with seem to always be willing to work with me again, and that's worth a lot in business when you have people whose skills you cherish and need, and they can make themselves available to you when you have work. So, in other words, support Dungeons and Dames and help us keep supporting independent artists.
For sure. Why don't you let everybody know where they can find you on the social media platforms?
Oh, on the social media platforms. Instagram at Sonopa Publishing. That's me. You'll see a lot of old, embarrassing videos of me on there with varying lengths of hair, short, long, beard, no beard, lots of kids, one kid, couple of kids. Yeah, it's fun. On Twitter at LL Sonopa. and that's for our Sonoma LLC. I'm not sure exactly how we got stuck with LL before Sonoma, but that's just what Twitter did to us. On Facebook at Sonoma Publishing, we have a page there. And then also follow us on Kickstarter. We have actually 2 accounts. My personal one at William Samuel Quinton, that's me. And then the Sonoma Publishing account, the one that I'll hand down to the kids when I die or retire for the business as well, where we're releasing RPG stuff, and we're going to start releasing RPG stuff there again this year. We took 2020 off with the illness, you know. And if you are looking to see what we've done in the last 4 years, Drive Through Comics, Drive Through RPG, where you can get role-playing game materials, 47 Furious Tales, fantastic posters that were done by some remarkably talented people, including Sandra Cole, Tony Ojeda, Kelsey Cohen, Lotus Blair, Nick Capone, just really beautiful work. Some of it is very well suited for Edwin Abro Ruiz. I almost forgot Edwin. Artists who have created works, some of which that are really very nice for very small children, some that are appropriate for people of all ages, and some that are definitely more on the horror bent or not appropriate for children kind of end of the scale. So there's a little something for everyone, I think.
And before we go, tell us about there's some kind of Sonoma like role-playing omnibus or something like that.
Right, the Sonoma Omnibus. So Volume 1 and Volume 2 are out. Volume 3 I hope to get out next month because it's a year late. It wasn't crowdfunded or anything. It's just needs to go out for everyone who was supporting the Patreon page. We refunded everyone's Patreon money all through last year, each month. So because our production fell off with illness, so literally everyone who was signed up on the Patreon page, all of their pledges have been refunded since January of last year. So in fact, when July runs over, I'll go in and refund everyone's stuff again. But part of that Patreon package was the releases of stories and NPC illustrations and stats and stuff for 5e. And the omnibus basically collects these into bundles of 6. So it's basically every 6 months we would put out one. We'll get Volume 3 out, like I said, hoping to get that out next month, depending on how long the edits take. And then we'll go ahead and get to work on 4. And then we'll probably crowdfund 3 and 4 together for printing of 3 and to pay for art for issue 4. Because we have all the art done for issue 3 and paid for. We just need to go ahead and really build up and get that done. But basically you get a short story with each entry featuring the non-player character, monster, or beast of that entry, and then their 5th edition game mechanics stats released under the open game license. Those have actually been really very popular. They've done very well for us. We've got 2 stores that are currently actively selling them. So out of 9 stores who are actively carrying stuff for us right now, we're hoping to get another 3 stores hopefully next week if we can finish putting the final handshakes together. Hopefully. And then hopefully 2 more after that if you talk to your locals. Well, come on, man. You know I'm going to take good care of them.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Take them 47. Show off the books. Tell them we're there. It'd be good.
I will definitely link it to them and try to get them on board because that way I could save shipping myself because they'll pay for it.
Now let me tell you one other thing too. The big thing about indie publishing, especially when you're small like me, is getting into a point where you have enough cash to actually get everything done in advance and get it out. And the one thing about doing stuff through crowdfunding for comics and stuff is very often the shipping costs more than the book.
Mm-hmm.
Not always. My books, you've seen what my books run. They're usually about $5 plus shipping, or $6 plus shipping, depending on what the details of the book are, if we've got other stuff in it. But what I'm hoping to do is, with the release of Reign of Ages and then also Necroholic and continuing with 47 Furious Tales, hopefully by the end of next year, we'll be at a point where, rather than having one Kickstarter for one book and people buy a book and then they pay for the book and the shipping for that book, I'd like to get to the point where we have all 3 titles available on one Kickstarter so that people can pledge for the books, get the books, and only pay one shipping occurrence. Because I think it'll save a lot of money for the backers.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it makes a lot of sense, particularly for retailer tiers. And then also, I think it makes it a little bit easier to reach some stretch goal issues, because if you're calculating it just on the mathematics of it, a big factor in that math is how the shipping distributes across the amount that's pledged. So if you've got people picking up 2 books or 3 books, it's kind of like the same as if they had picked up add-ons through the course of the campaign. It's extra revenue in there that really helps you meet that threshold so that you can do more cool stuff with your stretch goals. That's the plan anyway. So keep your fingers crossed, say a prayer for us, knock on wood, and tip your waiter. We want to get there so that we can do stuff kind of in that same vein that we see Brian Pulido doing. Books done, everything's together, big package of stuff, shipping's handled in one, and instead of having shipping over multiple stuff, you've got one big bundle of goodness coming to you every couple of months. So
yeah, that's the same way Roland Mann does it over at Silverline too.
Yeah.
He doesn't launch a Kickstarter until the entire book is done, like 100%.
Right.
So he's just sitting on a print file, and that's paying for the printing of the book, and then the rest of the funds that come in from that pay the artists, various artists, flatters and everything else to do the next one. And because they've got so many titles coming out now, Phil tells me a lot of the books they're doing are flip books. Mm-hmm. They brought back the flip book because that way people get 2 books, and it's less money for the print run to print up like a 50-page book, all in one, instead of like 2 25-page books.
It really is. It's a lot cheaper. Yeah.
So, and I'm like, I love flip books just because Barry and Grant hates them. Just something for me to bust his chops about. Yep, Silverline double feature, they call it, and they're great books, and they got a bunch of great people working over there too. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Phil, pat yourself on the back. You're working for Silverline. Freelance. Phil's available to color anything. So am I, but I've only got Crayolas and markers. So I would really go with Phil. And my eyes are shite. So
I'll tell you this: with 47 Furious Tales issue 3, that book will be completely done before we launch. Reign of Ages issue 1 will be completely done before we launch, and as will Necroholic. And so, starting with October, all of the comics going forward, barring some cataclysm or something, will be completely done before we launch.
Yeah, I definitely want to check out Necroholic. If for nothing else, just the name of the book.
Everyone loves Necroholic, alcoholic necromancers, except for the people who have to live next to them.
Wow, alcoholic necromancers.
Yep, alcoholic necromancers.
I think that was me for like all 30 years of my DJ experience.
Necroholic, man. Bye, Brian. We're really looking forward to getting that out. And
Yeah.
so,
That should be fun too.
yeah, and I can't thank the people who've supported us this far enough. They've done so many great things to help us bring so many really cool books to the world. And I'm looking forward to so many more. We've got a light novel coming, more uh, open game license 5e source material for Dungeons and Dragons fans, and then more and more comics. Hopefully by the end of next year, we'll be able to get the funding together to start Super Willow, my kid's comic, telling the story of my daughter as a superhero.
Oh,
So,
cool.
yep. All right. Anyone have any questions, comments, criticisms, concerns?
Yeah, I'm like, that's pretty cool. I had actually quite a while back, and she bowed out. She didn't want anything to do with it. So.
Oh, really? Well, my little one's pretty excited about it right now, but I guess by the time she's a teenager, she'll probably be like, "Dad, why am I a superhero?"
Bill, that would be dangerous neighborhood. Lightning bolts through the wall at 3 a.m.
It's the zombies digging up your flowers right before dawn that really annoy you, though.
Yeah,
You know how much
you think it's a cat or dog outside in the
bunch
bed.
of zombies digging up your roses. You're like, man, what are you gonna do about this? You have to change your white picket fence to wrought iron with barbs on the outside to keep them from pushing through.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
It's like you're living inside that video game, 7 Days to Die.
Right. Your basement really does become your bunker.
Mm-hmm.
Just nothing good comes of that.
That would suck for me. I live on the second floor. I don't have a basement.
Oh, bad.
So, but Sam, thanks for coming out and hanging out once again.
Thanks for having me, Will.
Always a pleasure, sir. All the best of luck with this Dungeons and Dames art book. Mm-hmm. Pulling in the D&D fan, the art fan, the comic fan, and it looks wonderful, and we can't wait to see what comes next, because I've been waiting since I got a certain care package in the mail for issue 3 of 47 Furious Tales. So I'm like, I put off reading it for like 2 days. When I just kept looking at the books, and I'm like, then I was like, I'm going to reread issue 1 now that I've got it in physical. And I read both copies. I'm like,
well, did you see the cover art for issue 3?
That's him telling you to hurry up and print that book because I need a copy.
Well, we're going to kickstart in October and we'll ship in November. I'll tell you another cool thing about that Kickstarter program before I leave. 47 Furious Tales issue 1, we had to do 2 Kickstarters because the first one we didn't reach goal, the second time we did. Issue 2, we launched the first Kickstarter campaign as we scheduled it, which was right at the beginning of the pandemic, and that didn't go over so well. So we waited 6 months and we launched again and we succeeded. So 47 Furious Tales issue 3 be the first Sonopa comic title to fund on the first try.
Sonopa is going to reverse the curse.
We're going to break the curse on our crowdfunding on that one and make it happen. So we're going to need everyone's help. So follow along, support your R&D Comics. Will, thanks for having me, brother.
Thank you. We'll see you all. I'll be back tomorrow, of course, late tomorrow evening with the Showzilla Art Show. Thursday at 8 p.m., Thomas and I are on OK Boomer. We're going through the Treasury edition of, see you hip cats on the flip side, the Treasury edition of Superman versus Wonder Woman from DC. And Friday at 1, Alias from the UK crew, from Bristolian Dave's crew, is coming out at 1 p.m. Eastern to talk about his book. So It should be a fun week, and we look forward to seeing you the next time.